hello. Welcome to Terrifyingly
Hi.
Beautiful. I'm
Hi.
Dave Robert.
Welcome
I'm
back.
here with my friend.
I'm Kevin O'Connell.
Exactly. Episode 2. So exciting.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
this is a thing now.
Yeah, I love the intro jingle. It's so like everything's going so well. Do 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 do. Then anxiety hits, right, and your whole day's ruined. But
That's basically how I look at life. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm having such a good day. Oh, let me think about
all the ways you can destroy it.
Yeah, it can be anything really. There's just literally anything can set my day off.
Yeah.
I try to bring it back around and try to like think about things logically. Like I try to say to my brain, no, that's stupid. Stop thinking about that. Like turn in, you have a good life. Like you don't live in, the Sudan or you.
That's so mature of you. I just drink.
Oh, yeah, that also helps. And cheers, we are
speaking
having.
of drinking,
I don't know if you heard our clink.
what are we
but we're
having
clinking.
today? It's a Cabernet.
It's a Cabernet Sauvignon. Sounds good.
Lovely. Yeah, a Merlot.
Love a Merlot.
Mm-hmm.
Love a lot of Merlots.
I've been sort of on a Shiraz kick recently. I don't know why. Kind of spicy.
I thought at first you were saying charades. Like
What's a charade?
Like a fancy way to say charades. Like what a charade you're
charades.
putting on.
Charades.
A
Yeah.
Shiraz kick. I wish I knew more about wine.
It's usually. I think a Shiraz is only from Australia, and then a Syrah is from another part of the world.
Oh,
But the same grape, I think. I could be
that's-
totally wrong about that.
Seems like a lot of work.
That's the story I tell myself. But
There's a great documentary about wine. It's called Somme. There's two of them. So there's Somme and then Somme subtitle something or other. But the first one's about the people taking the sommelier test, which is apparently like the hardest test in the world.
I would fail.
Well, yeah, almost everybody does. And the second one is about wine in general and like what a bullshit like thing it is.
They just had, again, at NPR today, talking about they had a sommelier or wine expert, I guess, on the show, and they were sampling sort of like unique wines from like parts of the world you wouldn't necessarily relate to wine producers, like Turkey, Greece.
Turkey wine?
The country, Turkey, not the bird. But they asked the question, like, what's the difference between like a $10 bottle of wine and like a $50 bottle of wine?
$40.
And the answer will shock you. $40. Very clever. The answer was kind of surprising. He said it's about real estate. So if you are a vineyard, let's say in Northern California, and your land is extremely expensive, you're going to have to charge more for the wine. But if you're growing wine, let's say in Washington State,
oh, well, yeah.
and the property is not as valuable, let's say, then.
But isn't it harder to grow wine there, so it should cost more?
Well, it also has to do with like the production, what kind of barrels you're.
But I feel like this
fermenting.
documentary, they had people taste wines, and then they said, this wine is $10, and this wine is $900, but they were the same wine, and they all like rated the $900 wine better because it's supposed to be better because it's more expensive.
If you know about it beforehand, but there's been a lot of tests where they have it's blinded and they pick the cheaper wine more often.
Yeah,
than they pick the more expensive
listen,
wine.
it's stressful. Like,
well, what's the new? Well, it's not new, but what's it called? It's like a co-op vineyard, like Bin 91 or something.
Welcome to our wine podcast, everyone. I have no.
I'll bring this back to anxiety in about 10 seconds. But they do. They buy grapes from high-profile, expensive wine vineyards, and they rebrand it under their own label. It's the same wine.
Oh.
And it's like
They sell it
1/3
for
the price.
more?
No, like 1/3 the price.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways,
Well, so like when you go out to a restaurant with people and they expect you to buy the wine, that's a moment of anxiety because I'm like, well, how much do they want to spend? Because I'd really like this,
Justin
$60
Cabernet,
bottle of wine,
yeah.
but maybe they want the,
Yellowtail.
Stone Cellars by. Nothing against those. I'll drink those in a pinch.
Absolutely.
But like when you're going out to some dinner with someone who you're not like super comfortable with, there's always that moment of like, how much should I spend? Should I spend more because they want to spend more? Or should I spend less?
Well, it's kind of unfair because when you go to a restaurant, those prices are so jacked up.
That's stupid.
Like 3 or 4 times the price you'd pay in a retail store, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think if you're just having a casual dinner, I wouldn't go over $40 for a bottle of wine. On a special occasion, you can go higher than that. But I mean,
You heard that here, people.
Yeah,
$40.
Yeah.
There you go. Problem solved. No more stress.
Well, I don't cry a lot But I can say that a couple of years ago, remember they had that scare in California because of the drought and like their Cabernet crop was going to be destroyed.
Oh God!
I like burst out into tears. I was like, "What is this going to mean for me?" Because you can get Cabernet from other places in the world, but like, nothing better than a California Cabernet.
Oh, like if they ever had like a nationwide peanut shortage and I couldn't have peanut butter, like I'd probably protest for that.
I gave peanut butter up, shockingly. I used to eat a jar a week at least. I don't like the sugary, like the Jips and the Skippies. I like the all natural one with the oil kind of rose to the top, and you gotta mix it together like Teddy Bear.
I don't want the Teddy peanut butter's cheap, isn't it?
Well, I think all peanut butter.
Listen, I'm not cooking. I'm not stirring anything.
Bullshit. Well, you're probably too young, but when I was a child, this probably was about a 10-year gap between our age.
Had to chew peanuts?
No, remember the peanut crop was like decimated in Georgia,
like
and like stuff like that, and like peanut prices like went like through the roof, and a jar of peanut butter was like $10, and back in the 70s it was like out of reach. Oh my God.
Well, apparently hazelnuts are expensive because Nutella is expensive. Why we got talking into food prices?
I know, this is weird.
Tell me. Tell me about something that caused you stress this week.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think people will be able to relate to this. So I am so done with the breaking news flashes on CNN and the other news channels. It's back. Maybe I'm just noticing it more. Back in the day, like once a month. At the most, they would come. They would break into a commercial or into a program with a breaking news, and it was something serious. Like,
I can remember back in the '90s being on America Online, and like in like a stupid chat room, as one did.
Back.
Yeah, and a pop-up came up, which never happened.
DSL.
Oh yeah, Mom, put down the phone. A pop-up popped up that said Princess Diana had died. And I remember being like,
that's breaking news.
Right.
Literally every, if you were to watch, I'll pick on CNN because that's usually the station I tune to. If you were to watch CNN for an hour, I guarantee you'd have a breaking news graphic flash up at least 10 times.
If you watched CNN for an hour, you'd have a breakdown.
And it's the same topic they talked about 10 days ago. Yeah. It's like, how's that breaking? It's broken news at that point.
Breaking news, Sean Spicer said something stupid. It's like, come on, that's
oh my God.
The least breaking news.
Because and the reason why it's causing me anxiety is because when I hear that little intro, and they have a jingle for it, right? So
it's like war is happening.
We are, it's like something stupid, and then my heart stops for a minute. 'Cause I'm like, oh my God, did North Korea bomb us? Right? Are being invaded by the Russians? Yeah, it's Cabernet shortage. Yeah, exactly. And so I get a little bit anxious, and then it takes me a couple minutes to kind of calm down. By the time you calm down, it's another breaking news flash again. So I can't take it.
Last year, it was like every 30 seconds a celebrity died. And that so annoying.
It was kind of funny when somebody put on Facebook like, somebody go and like we'll build like a care bridge around Betty White's house or something.
I'm literally gonna have to take a week out of work when Betty White dies.
Well, when B. Arthur died, that was tough for me. I mean, she was my favorite.
No, she was my favorite Golden Girl as well.
Oh my God, the sarcasm.
I feel like we are her.
I am. Well, the book that I wrote a couple of years ago, I related my mom to.
Insert plug here.
Yeah, exactly. Wanderlush.
Check it out on Amazon.com. Wanderlush by David Robert. It actually is a really great read.
Well, thank you. But I do describe my mom as a cross between B. Arthur and Karen from Will and Grace.
It's very accurate. It's very accurate.
This boozy, sarcastic, cynical woman, right? So love it.
We are both lucky that we have two amazing mothers.
Yeah, your mom's a
who
doll.
Are both cancer survivors.
And, wait, 3 times your mom?
5.
My mom's twice now.
It's insane.
She just finished her treatment for I almost said rectal melanoma, but that's completely wrong part of the body.
No, let's not talk about your mom's rectum on this podcast.
What do they call it? What's it?
Retinal.
No, retinal.
Retinal, yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, sorry.
I'll tell you about your mom's body. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Rectal. Oh my God, David. But yeah,
no wonder we have anxiety though. Like it's like
God.
Every other year we hear bad news.
And with my digestive system, how sensitive it is. Every time I hear a grumble or a little pain, I'm convinced I have cancer. It's horrible.
I know.
And I shouldn't be doing that because it really is unfair to those who actually have cancer. I don't want to be insensitive, but my mind just cannot shut off.
No, I think that's a fair. Sorry, I just hit you. I think that's a fair thing for people who have cancer in their family. It's a normal worry that, there's something in my genes that this could happen to me too. I think that's normal.
So
I don't think it's insensitive to people who have cancer. I think it's a valid worry.
I get a little bit worried. hearing I'm getting anxious about something I probably shouldn't be anxious about. But like, I just don't want anybody to like be listening to this and get offended that I'm being like, trivializing cancer.
Oh,
right?
no.
So
Please.
that's not the case at all. If anybody knows about cancer, it's the two of us, right? So,
yeah. Well, it's our mothers.
Yeah, our mothers. Yeah, sure. So,
what were we talking about? B. Arthur, and it got in
rectal cancer. Is it true that B. Arthur had a colostomy bag? Is that a rumor that it was not true?
I don't know. I feel like they would have worked that into the show. There's so many jokes to be made.
Because that's
not a funny thing, but they would have done it.
Somebody told me years ago that that's the reason she wore all those drapey outfits.
Oh.
Because like she had a colostomy bag and she was kind of like insecure about it, I guess. I don't know if it's true or not, but
maybe.
I thought maybe
I heard it on the internet, so it's true.
Absolutely true. This is way before fake news kind of became a thing.
Yeah. Oh man, I missed the Golden Girls. So that show still holds up.
I literally.
You better say something literal right now, or I will slap you like the toll booth operator.
I'll use a different word. Just this week, I was. A Facebook video popped up, and it was a recreation of the gold. It was drag queens, and they recreated the scene when they were buying condoms at the convenience store.
Condoms, Rose. Condoms. That's the best.
It was actually a PSA for safe sex and HIV prevention. It was actually really well done, but oh my god, it was hilarious.
Still holds up.
Yeah. So what stressed you out this week?
Well, it was also something on Facebook. Someone was bitching and moaning about, I'm not going to say their name, but about their appearance as they got older and how they were just not comfortable with this, and they were not comfortable with this. And whenever I feel like you put that kind of stuff out there on Facebook, it is probably a cry for attention. People go, "No, you look so good," but
you're beautiful.
So yeah, I guess it's the fear of not aging gracefully or not being able to accept what happens naturally to your body. I mean, trust me, I don't look like I did when I was 23 years old.
Well,
but
for sure.
What? Excuse me?
You've aged about 20 years in the 10 years I've known you.
All right.
I'm just kidding.
But I don't know. It bugs me when people like. It's an inevitable process, like aging, and it's just like.
And why should we shame somebody for aging? We should all be lucky if we're aging.
Yeah,
I mean, the alternative is a little bit worse, right? So.
I do like that. I've read that. Yeah.
Well, I think that it's natural, I think, to be nervous about aging, right? Because there is something energizing about being younger. You have more energy. I think that being a little bit naive about the world kind of helps too, because you don't really have all the information you have when you're older to like panic.
Mm-hmm.
But the people I find the most beautiful and sexy are the ones who are just confident with how they look and confident with their age, and aren't trying to make excuses or mask it or accommodate it in some other way. I find confidence in your body and who you are super sexy, and I would choose that over what we consider to be traditional good looks any day of the week.
I'm still gonna get Botox when I need it, just look refreshed.
I have a friend who is, you too, right? So in their 20s and early 30s getting Botox.
Oh, I know. It's preventative, he says.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just don't smile. What's my expression? Like, just moisturize and cross your fingers.
That's right. I love that. My grandmother used oil of Olay. That was her thing.
You
and she looked really young, and my mother actually looks a lot younger than she is, and she swears by oil of Olay.
I think everybody has their regimen, if you're into regimen, so.
Yeah. Some of the shit's weird, and it, like...
It's expensive.
Those black peels that people are putting on Facebook, that cannot be good for you.
It rips your skin off.
Right.
That's why you look younger, because you don't have any skin in your face.
This blood makes me look so good.
So here's my routine. I've been doing it and I think I look pretty young for my age.
David's 86.
Yeah, 86, and still working out at the gym every day. It's amazing. I do freshen up a little bit once in a while, but so I do Basis liquid face soap in the morning.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It's cheap, like $6.
We have no monetary interest in Basis, but if you want to send us free shit,
yeah, exactly. Or,
if you want to
advertise on the blog. And then I, for a toner, I use witch hazel.
Oh yeah.
I can't use the toners that come like like these like decorative or like commercial. I just use regular Dickinson's 100% witch hazel. As
Do you
like
put it in a metal bowl with ice and soak your face in it like Joan Crawford?
No.
That's what she used to do.
Yeah, because she turned out.
What? She looked.
She was angry all the time.
Oh, I know.
Didn't she like shake her baby or shake her daughter or something like that? Wasn't that part of the movie?
She like cut her hair and got
I
mad.
am not one of your fans, and then she like knocked her over the
I
table.
just recently saw that movie. I was a bad gay and watched it late in life, but I've loved
You
it.
just saw it recently?
I literally like probably 3 weeks ago.
But it ruined Tina's career. Who was the actress who played Tina? Like she was so good in that role. Like she couldn't. It was like Linda Blair in The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Nobody could see her. She
Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia.
Nobody could see her as anything else.
read
So
her
it kind of
book.
ruined her career.
Yeah.
Anyways. Wow. Okay. So
That
aging.
took a hard left turn into. Wow.
Well, I can't say I won't become more anxious about aging. It's probably less about the looks thing.
I'm anxious
and more
about getting
dying.
anxious about aging. Death is going to be a whole separate episode where that's going to be both of our topics.
I'll say my rant on dying, but
I have a whole thing about death. Like I have so many thoughts on it.
I've been to two I wouldn't really call them psychics, but like I'll put like quotations around
Mediums?
them who
Yeah.
have told me how I was going to die, and both of them said the same thing.
Oh my god!
I won't tell you how because you'll start crying.
It's not doing a podcast, is it?
It's drinking Cabernet.
Oh shit!
So I'm like, talk about anxious. I'm like, oh god,
That's really
just
stressful.
waiting for it to happen. Yeah.
I've been to I just want to go to one of those mediums where they say something that someone could never ever know, that like only I know, so that I'll know that there's something
real.
after this.
Well, I told you the story about my sister. So there's a woman in Connecticut who is a medium,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister's friend, this is last year, she was getting ready for surgery for colon cancer. She found out she had colon cancer. She's my age. She's like 46, right? So she's super young. Stage 2 or 3 was colon cancer. She was super nervous, and she hired the medium because she wanted to talk to her mom who had passed away, just for reassurance, like, like that mom hug, right? And so she called my sister and said, I'm nervous about this. Would you mind coming over and at least being here while the medium does the reading? Absolutely. And so while the medium was sort of talking about, the connection that she had with her mom, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, a man's trying to butt in here. Very aggressive
Typical
guy.
man.
Yeah, very aggressive guy. Military, a Robert. Of course, my last name's Robert.
Yeah.
So my sister, who's obviously married and has a different last name now, but her maiden name is Robert. She's like, that's my dad. My dad passed away a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And my sister's she's like the super mom. Like she makes the kids lunches, and she like slices the apples. That's her thing. She slices apples and puts them in a little like baggie for them,
I had a note
And my
in my lunch every day until I graduated.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my God. God bless your mom. So the medium said, your dad's trying to tell me you don't have to go through. You don't have to slice the apples for the kids.
That specific?
Yes.
See, that shit's weird.
And my sister started crying because, much like you, she was like, this is crap. I mean, this is like baloney stuff, right? But when she said that, there's no way anybody would ever know that.
This is what makes me anxious about mediums. It's why if one of them can be that specific, why can't they all? Like you'll get, well, I see someone here and it's a man. No, it's a woman. It's definitely a woman.
It's a J.
And I see a J. No, an
G.
L, an M. Yes, an M. A Mary. It's Maria. Oh, yes, I see it, Maria. Like, why don't they?
And they always go to the heart. It's a heart issue because that's the #1 killer in the United States, right? It's
Of course.
heart
So
stuff,
there's
right?
so many scams, but I just want someone to say, your mom's name is Abigail. She was in a car accident. An ice cream truck hit her on the 32nd. Oh my God. That's when you know they're fake. On the 22nd of December.
32nd,
yeah, May 32nd. And you just be like, yes, tell me more.
Well, I will say that I was like super into like the Hollywood medium that came out on ETV last couple years.
That kid is so
What's
gay.
his name? Of course he's gay.
Tyler
Henry.
Tyler Henry.
And he explained it. He said the reason why we can't always get super accurate is because, well, it's from his perspective,
I
he
listened to this
gets
whole
images,
thing, and then he has to
kind of
them.
piece them together, right? And
I
so,
listened to him on the RuPaul podcast, What's the Tea with RuPaul and Michelle Visage. After you're done listening to this, listen to them, because actually, like, RuPaul now is someone I really admire after listening to. I know.
You never did before? I mean,
Well, I always thought he was like a fun personality.
Pioneer.
Yeah, of course with that, but he's actually like really deep and really interesting. But anyway, so I listened to him on that, and I left listening to that like a believer, like, wow, this kid's real. And then I watched 2 episodes of the show, and I was like,
Well, what turns me off is that it really is one of those shows. It's kind of like The Apprentice, where all these kind of like C and B celebrities go there to kind of resurrect their careers.
Snooki.
And it's like
you're gonna go, nope, you're completely wrong. They would never air that.
Yeah.
So of course you're gonna say something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know, but I did kind of pop into On Demand to see if it was the new episode's around, but it's not on yet. So
what? So my thing with mediums is, if everybody who's died is on the other side, right, and can communicate with us, how do they know that we're talking to a medium? Don't they have shit to do?
Apparently not.
Are they watching us all the time?
Well,
Because I don't need them to see some of the things I do.
Okay, so I'm so glad this topic came up. So here's my question. So why is it always like one relative away, or at the max like a grandparent? Like I have in theory, 100 generations before me. Why couldn't like my great grandpa come over and say,
like,
hey?
I have an A. I feel like it's Attila the Hun. You're related.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, it's Abraham Lincoln.
So why is it always like just immediate? Does that connection dissipate after?
So I don't know why I'm saying this on a podcast, but I used to be super into mediums, like in the 90s, like a lot.
Like
I've probably been to over 40.
Like, did you dial the 900 number? Yeah, like
I
call,
dated this
name,
kid for a little
lady?
while who his stepmom was a spiritualist medium, and she got me super into it, and I was really interested. I was young, but so I went to all these different mediums, and so after like the 6th one, I was like, I think I showed disappointment in my face, and the guy was like, well, what's wrong? And I said, I really wanted to talk to my grandmother. And he said, oh, well, she's probably not there. And I was like so mad. I'm like,
she's not there.
What do you mean she's not there? And he goes, well,
can't you call her up?
She could be in another life. And I never thought about that. Like, if you believe in multiple lives,
my head's gonna explode.
I know, right? So, but then their soul, and I don't even know if I believe in that, would not be there because they'd be alive.
But are there times in your life where, maybe in a split moment, you're like, this is like, I think, an out-of-body experience. This is not really happening. Or, like, I've been here before.
Oh, deja vu happens all the time to me. I thought that was a glitch in the Matrix. Anyways, we got to talk about our topics. And I picked the topic.
Oh, boy.
This time. And it actually just kind of goes off one that I briefly mentioned last week. And that is the subject of hotel rooms.
That's right.
I talked about the security of them last time, but I've had to stay in more hotel rooms recently and thought about them more. And I very rarely sleep in hotel rooms because my mind wanders when I'm there. Mostly about what's happening on the other side of the walls. Like, I'll hear like a little noise, and
so
I'm like,
naughty.
No, I'm not. I've never heard people having sex.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, in general, I have, but in a hotel, I don't know. I've kind of always like longed for that. Not longed for it, but
it's the worst feeling when you're alone in a hotel room and somebody else gets some action across the way. It's like,
I bet.
Really?
Yeah, well, just get that universal key and be like, oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh,
Pardon
I
me.
can stay.
Oh, hi.
So have you ever taken a bath in a hotel bathtub?
I have, yeah, in Fort Lauderdale at the Hilton.
Yeah, nope, I've never done that. I don't even like to touch the shower. If I could float, I would. I have to look at the towels to make sure there's no like blood stains that have been cleaned up.
Because it's a good point, because you can't. Let's say that it's all about conservation, right? They have a little card in the room. It says like, hey, we're trying to conserve water.
Oh yeah.
Try to like be conservative with your towel use, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you leave, let's say 5 or 6 towels still rolled up, they leave them there. Or do they wash them after the room is being reset?
Them there.
Because what if you used it and folded it back up nicely and put it back up there?
Yeah. So Here's a little tip.
my
First
God.
thing you do, you go into a hotel
I'm never
room,
going to a
you
hotel.
throw all the towels on the ground and you call room service. Yeah, so even like, you know where they always hang the towels, like in Hilton Garden Inns or whatever, Hampton Inns, above the toilet.
I know.
So that
It's
means
weird.
someone took a dump in that toilet,
And
flushed it, and
and-
all their poo particles are now all over.
That is exactly right. I had not thought about that.
Yeah,
I always
sorry.
thought it was a
Well,
weird
you're
place
supposed to be
put
helping me
towels.
through these
Oh my
things.
God,
I
I know.
do.
Sorry.
Yeah.
To remind folks, the whole premise is that each week one of us picks a topic that we're kind of anxious about, and the other
Just like
person is
life.
supposed to convince you, oh, it's not that bad.
Right. And, you know, I mean, I have to stay in hotels as part of my job, and I do it, and I don't get, you know, paralyzed by fear. But a few things I do. Immediately walk in, and I take off that comforter.
You have to.
I don't even want it on the bed. Even if it's cold, like, I will deal.
You have to.
I will deal with it.
It's just basically a big sheet of like solidified
Skin.
semen.
Yeah.
Skin, I guess, yeah, and like other various crumbs and. Ugh.
So gross. And then I think about the remote. I forget what hotel it was recently, but they, is that a bug on the wall?
Don't. Why are you doing
the
this to
little
me?
thing.
We just had a
I
conversation about
know.
insects. There's a bug on the wall?
I think it is.
Oh, no.
No?
Small little gnat. Stung me.
The remote controls to the TV, but it had they had a special remote that basically said next to it, remotes in hotel rooms are gross. Ours is cleaned every day. And I was like, oh God, I never thought about that. Now I have to worry about that every other place I go.
So I have a solution for you. Why don't you just bring a box of those like
My own TV.
the Clorox wipes? I travel a lot in airplanes. I wipe my entire airplane station down.
Well, we're doing a whole
seat,
thing on
the
airplanes.
The tray, the little like TV screen, the armrests, everything is wiped down. There's no way I'm touching any of that.
How often do they clean planes?
Well, not very often, because if you only have 20 minutes between when they land and when they take
All
off
right.
again.
There's got to be a flight attendant out there that is listening to this who can let us know how often the planes are cleaned.
They can't be cleaned more than once a day. They're supposed to clean them between each flight.
The amount of
There's no way.
crusts that are on. I hated the way I just said that. There was like a lot of S noise.
It's like
crusts.
moist. It's like moist.
Yeah, ugh. On the tray tables. Oh God.
So just yesterday, Pete and I was picking up from work. We're a one-car household, and I went to Bertucci's of all places down the street here for a de-stressing cocktail after work. And the
Don't
bartender,
self-medicate with alcohol, everyone.
Oh, come on. So it's actually good for your arteries. Like this glass of wine actually is like cleaning my arteries out.
Yeah. So
Isn't
you
that-
have the cleanest arteries ever.
Yeah. I had the clogged up colon, but the cleanest arteries. So and the bartender was on a flight recently. Same thing happened, right? The plane landed, deboarded. They waited like 20 minutes for the quote-unquote cleaning. She gets on the plane, and her sister was sitting in the seat in front of her, and so she heard something drop, and she thought maybe her sister dropped something, was rolling back. So she reached under the seat in front of her and pulled it out, and she grabbed it, and it was a barf bag full of barf.
Oh God.
And it split open and splashed all over her.
I
was
I
dying.
think you have to end that, because if I even see someone or hear someone throwing up, I have to throw up.
Oh God.
It's a bad thing. So we're gonna
I
move
can't
on.
type of the tuna fish sandwich story then.
No.
No. Oh, someone's phone's busy.
What was that?
That's probably my phone over there.
We're real professionals.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we have some distractions in the house. So we have our little Chihuahua.
Tootie is here again.
Kevin's Chihuahua.
Snoring.
Tootie, snoring, and my phone's across the room buzzing. So apologize about that.
Sorry.
No, so I'm on a Cape Air flight, flying from Lake Placid or
Yeah.
Saranac Lake to Boston. I was in Saranac Lake visiting my relatives, and this little 9-seater plane.
Yeah, you
no
made me get on
bathroom.
one. Yeah.
You have to make sure your bladder's empty.
They put
everything.
your luggage on the wing.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
And you have to give them your weight. They had to balance the plane.
That's
right?
that's
So-
a whole other thing.
and,
And then they made me move last time. I went on a tiny ass plane because David made me, because he had a surprise for me, and Spoiler alert! I'll tell you the whole story in another episode, but it was to do aerial stunts in a biplane.
With no biplane with no roof. There's no.
Yeah, and this is from a kid who had issues like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Anyways, and we went on this tiny ass plane, and they made me move because the weight wasn't balanced.
That's
and I
right.
did not feel good.
Well, the same plane, so
Mhm.
what, a Cessna 402 or something, so 9 seats or whatever. And when it's the kind of plane where like the
You fly
the
on a wing
no,
and a
the
prayer.
seat next to the pilot has all the controls. It's actually a passenger seat, so some crazy person could take control of the plane and kill you. But that's a whole different story. This lady ate a tuna fish sandwich on the plane. It was like 150 degrees in the plane, right? And all of a sudden, I smelled like something like tuna and like gas. She threw it up
Oh my
into
god!
a bag, and I have long legs, so my left leg is like hugging her seat, and she rests the warm barf bag on
No.
my knee.
No,
And it was like seeping through, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
that's when you're allowed to murder.
And we still had like 20 minutes left of the flight. I was like dying. So the plane landed. She was very apologetic, but I was like, "Lady, first of all, what got into your head that you thought eating a tuna fish sandwich?"
Let's talk about other foods that you should not eat in closed spaces: chili, tacos, egg salad.
Egg salad. You love egg
I
salad.
do love egg salad. Oh my gosh,
Onions.
onions, yeah, smoked salmon.
Oh my god.
People are gross. We were talking about hotels
How'd we get on airplanes?
because we have anxiety issues.
Oh, it was like the Clorox wipes. Okay, I see at the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me go back to the Clorox wipes for a second. Can you travel with those through security?
Yeah,
Because security lines are a whole other thing.
Absolutely. Because I'm you know,
I once
this is
yelled
probably it's probably TMI, but I love those little post poop wipes. Like the.
Oh, the moist ones.
Yeah. So and Nick, I carry this
Yeah, it's
all
like
the
a
time.
treat for your butthole.
Yeah. Although I have to, this is so way too much information, but I have to use the medicated ones because the other ones make my butt itch.
Oh.
Like it's like maybe
I
with the perfume.
feel like the world is trying to kill you. Like there's so many things that give you.
I've been to the emergency room twice already this year for tree nuts. Yeah. Who knew?
Just take the hint. The
Yeah,
world's
who
trying
knew?
to kill you.
Yeah, no more nuts for me.
So you can travel with them, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, both in your.
I once
check,
yelled
but also
at
carry-on.
like 7 friends as we traveled to Vegas, and I was like, if any of you have a bottle of water on you and you go through security, like I'm never gonna speak to you again. And then they were like, this bag has a Red Bull in it. And I was like, "Fuck." Oh, in front of everybody, and they did like a slow clap, like.
I get real bitchy at pre-check because you're supposed to be a seasoned traveler,
No, you get it random now.
and the
woman in
they
front of
like-
me was like stripping naked.
it's like just go through the damn detector. Yeah, but oh no, the Clorox wipes. My sister
do
is
that.
the one who turned me onto those because she's like super germophobic and she wipes everything down.
But I don't want to clean the whole room. Like I've paid $100 and something odd dollars a night to stay there.
But okay, so let me pose a question to you. So, isn't it good though to be exposed to some of the germs so you can build up resistance to
yeah,
it?
no. I feel you do build up resistance and you build up antibodies. I'll use my science background to tell you that that's
It's
true.
impressive.
But you definitely do. Just like when you get the flu shot, so you get like an inactive strain of the flu or a weakened strain of the flu, and then your body builds up immunity and you don't get the flu. So yeah, you need to. You don't want to live in a bubble because the second you're exposed to anything, you're gonna get sick.
You wouldn't leave the house if you're that afraid of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I do wipe down the remote control at a hotel room. I do.
You
that,
do?
Absolutely. I also wipe down the toilet seat with the Clorox because who knows what the hell's happened to that thing, right?
Yeah.
So I always wipe the toilet seat down. I wipe off the faucet handles, and I wipe the doorknob.
Oh, shit, you're worse than I am. Well, I feel like if we all do that though, then we create superbugs because it's like all the Purell and stuff. It says kills 99.99% of bacteria.
Yeah, 0.01%.
Well, you've got like
going to kill you.
Yeah, you've got like 10 trillion bacteria or something. And again, don't quote me on this, but you've got so many. But now you're only taking the ones that were weak and killed, and all the ones that survived that thrive.
Yeah, it's like evolution.
So, yeah, it's kind of the superbug theory, and I do think there's validity to that.
Well, it is happening more and more. I mean, they're getting a lot of doctors.
Oh,
I'm actually picking this up from like news programs, but they're talking about these like strains of bacteria that are just not reacting to
Any
even the most
antibiotic.
intense antibiotics,
I know.
like Cipro or Flagyllin. But then there's the other problem. Let's say you do get an infection.
You just made up a drug name, by the
No.
way. Flagyllin?
Isn't that what it's called?
Just flagell.
Flagell. Oh my God. I told you I can't spell and I can't pronounce anything.
Which is just like how I feel today. Very flagell.
Flatulence. It's a new drug.
Flatulence.
It's called Flagyl?
Flagell, yeah.
Oh, that's called Flagyllin.
Nope.
Anyways, but doesn't that cause C. diff?
Yeah, so, antibiotics don't really know the good bacteria from the bad bacteria.
It just kills everything,
Yeah,
right?
but then it leaves you to opportunistic infections. This took a real hard left turn. Let me talk more about hotels because I read this story recently, and I probably shouldn't have read it, which was about because I wanted to find out how many people actually die in hotel rooms because I was thinking laying in bed one night in the hotel room trying to fall asleep.
Like naturally?
Well, so obviously there's probably no way to account for that naturally, but murders. And it turns out there's not too many murders nowadays in hotels because you have to check in with ID, right? So back in the 70s when you didn't really have to do that before, great place to murder somebody.
In a hotel room.
Super great.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to be a murderer, do it at a hotel. But apparently suicide is a huge issue in hotels. And it's always local people. So like they don't I know.
I hear talking. I'm thinking about a story out of Boston at the Boston Harbor Hotel. My friend Chris was a revenue director there, and I want to say it was in the last 2 years. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's actually a pretty relevant story. So a woman who had been to the hotel many times, she was local from Boston. She checked in without her husband, and like, oh, okay, that's cool. And she crawled out. She asked for a high floor, and she crawled out the window and like clung onto the balcony and dove off and landed in the outdoor dining room during peak dinner, and killed herself. And it was like so weird to me why someone would do that, but it's like
it's very common.
Don't do it at home, right?
And apparently Las Vegas is one of the worst places for it.
God.
So the story that I read was in 1996 that someone jumped off the 26th floor of the Luxor Hotel. Now, if you've ever been to Vegas...
It's a pyramid, though, isn't it?
Right. So it's not like she jumped outside and
she slid down.
It was like, woo, let's nail the landing. We should not be laughing about this woman's suicide. It's 1996. It's been enough time.
20 years.
So she apparently... it's the worst hotel to commit suicide from because everything's inside. So she jumped and landed in front of the buffet entrance.
Don't.
Brings it
buffets.
back.
Buffets. It's not a reason not to go.
Don't.
Buffet.
Yeah, just look up before you go into a buffet.
Well, this happens at the mall here, right? At the Providence Place Mall.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, at least once a year, someone either attempts to kill themselves
someone
or
I went to elementary school
successful.
With suicide off the building.
Because I was actually working downtown at the time, and somebody said they were leaning over the railing, like trying to find one of their friends, and the guy kind of flew right down in front of them.
Suicide is like the saddest thing for me, and everyone talks about how selfish it is, and it's unfortunately been something that's been part. I've known people, so don't ever get to that place. I promise you, there's someone out there who will talk to you and who will care for you and help you through this. You just have to be willing to give it a second chance. But
I actually just
sorry to get deep there for a second.
I had a conversation. An online conversation. So somebody on my Facebook feed, I don't even know the guy. He must have been a friend of a friend, and we just kind of connected. But he's in my friend network, but I've never met the person. But he was like posting things on Facebook that were really disturbing. And again, I'm not a trained professional, but they were clearly calls for help. So I private messaged him and said, like, hey, if you're lonely or want to talk to somebody, just here's my number, give me a call. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you, right? And don't feel like you're alone. It's not not everybody's mean in the world, because he was talking about mean people and being let down, disappointed, and I was like, there are people who actually do care about you.
If you expect to not be disappointed in this world, you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
I live by a motto that's very sad. But it's got me very far, which is I expect most people to disappoint me. A lot of people.
It's kind of sad.
I know. I expect a lot of people in my life to disappoint me. It has happened, and I'm pleasantly surprised when they don't. So, but you also know me. My friends who are my friends I've had for 20 years, for 15 years. So you find those people who are your community. and who are like-minded people, and then you foster those relationships and you don't let those people go. That's the way to cope.
I actually used to have tremendous anxiety around disappointing others, right? But what I learned is that, if you are, it took me a long time to get to this point. I think it requires a level of maturity I just didn't have, for a long time. You have to just be very honest with people, right? In terms of
Absolutely.
what you can and cannot deliver, right?
Absolutely.
So, because we all want to be loved and liked, right? And sometimes, I'll speak for myself, I would offer false promises, right? Things I knew I probably couldn't deliver because it was out of my comfort zone, and then you can't deliver them, and the person's disappointed, right? So now I'm usually very candid and bold and right up front, like here's what's happening, what I can and cannot do, and that's
absolutely. It's we dance around so much of the way that we all feel, and I feel if we were just honest with people, and to a point, you don't want to be like, well, I feel like when you did this, like. Okay. There's a moment where you got to keep your feelings to yourself. Like, they're probably just yours and nobody else's.
Yeah.
But with your friends, you should be open and honest. And you're right, set expectations for people.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
And then also, give people a little bit of leeway. Just because someone didn't show up to your party, there might be a reason why. And it's not
supposed to be a comedy podcast.
I know. What the hell happened there? I want to get back to hotels. You keep taking me away. Yeah, so my suggestion is just check under the mattress. Make sure there's not a dead body there.
Really? How many dead bodies have you found in a hotel before?
I have not found any, but there's been plenty of internet hoaxes to suggest otherwise. So I feel like someone's going to get that in their head and do it.
So, wow. I've never really thought. No, now you've entered a new thought into my head. So, 'cause I travel a lot and stay in hotels like you do.
You've probably slept in multiple bodies.
Don't say that. No, I know I haven't, because the first thing I do when I go to a hotel is I pull the bed away from the wall and look for bed bugs.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
And I pull the cover off the mattress and I fold out the seams.
Look for the little black dots.
Yeah, exactly. So
thank you, 2020.
I think I would probably feel a dead body, wouldn't I?
Not in the box spring.
Ugh.
But the smell, like there's some story that someone 5 people stayed in the room over 2 months, and they only noticed where the smell was coming after they filled up the mattress. And it was a male corpse dressed in a nun's wimple and fishnet stockings.
Oh, come on.
Which I was like, that's too fucked up to be not made up.
That's crazy.
I know.
Well,
I kind of want to know that story.
How did he die?
Probably something sexual.
Shame.
Shame. He just looked in the mirror and died. Yeah. I don't know. So I always think about what happened in the room before. So I try to go in now with the mindset of that the past doesn't. Oh my God, the dog is loud right now.
She's snoring a lot.
It doesn't matter what happened in here, and just like the rooms don't hold juju or whatever,
Well, so I have a different relationship with hotel rooms. So when I lived in Dubai, I gave my apartment up for one of our staff members, and I lived at the Holiday Inn Express downtown Dubai. You can imagine what that was like. But I wrote my book in the hotel room. So I used that hotel room time as like my zen space. And especially in the summertime when it was like 140 degrees and you just couldn't be outside for more than 5 minutes without roasting, I accepted it and said, this is my life. And I just sat down and
hotels can be very nice. Like, it's kind of an escape and like a little fun treat where you don't have to clean up your own house.
Exactly.
So I used to love going to hotels as a kid. Like, that was like a big adventure.
Huge
for me.
tree.
Right. But as someone who travels and is in them a lot, the problem with me is sleeping. And I did another podcast. I'm gonna give another shout out to the Sleep With Me podcast.
I've never heard of that.
It's amazing. So it's this guy named Scooter who literally, he sounds like Ferris Bueller's teacher, and he talks like this and tells really boring stories.
Okay.
He just tells boring stories for an hour, and something about it, you listen, but you listen subconsciously, and so it doesn't give you the ability to talk about the roadkill that I saw on the street, and then wondering if that squirrel had a family that he's not going to get home to, and if the squirrel family this is a thought I had the other day, where the squirrel family is now wondering, like, where's Dad? And he's on the road somewhere, and they never find it.
When I see a dead deer, it's like, oh my God, that's a mother or a son or
I know, and I'm sure they don't give a shit.
They probably do. What if it's the breadwinner for the family, like the nut collector?
Nut collector.
And now he's like smashed into the road.
Have you ever hit an animal with your car?
I can't believe we're actually talking about this because I just had this conversation at the gym the other day with somebody
Please
talking
tell
about
me you haven't hit a
traumatic
person.
like animal hitting. So she had hit a deer and was like
Oh,
traumatized by
I've
it.
never done that.
So at the time, Pete was living on Cape Cod and I was living in Western Massachusetts. So I was doing that commute before I moved to Cape Cod. I'm on the Mass Pike, the damn Mass Pike, me, right? So I'm on the whole toll booth thing. I'm on the Mass Pike. And I'm behind this truck that had a whole bunch of pallets piled up.
Oh, Final Destination.
And it hit like a
No.
bump in the road. The pallets flew up and hit the road in front of my car, and like hundreds of little tiny chickadees flew out and hit my windshield.
You and chickens.
It was the worst. And I swear to you, I mean, it's funny now because
like a plague of
I'm
locusts.
trying to forget about it, but like the last thing I recall seeing was this one. I zeroed in this one chickadee that with its wings out and its eyes wide open and like with a little beak, and it's crashed into the windshield. I was like, oh my god, feathers everywhere.
Oh.
I had to pull into one of those little like gas station rest stops, and like I was like traumatized by
Chickens are like so cute when they're little and then not when they're older.
There was still leaves.
It's a lot like people.
There was still like leaves, little feathers on the car. Like a year later, it was coming out of the engine and stuff. But
I had a bunny once that survived. It like bounced off the car and kept going, but then
it died.
I had like oh gosh, what kind of car was it? It was like a Mazda Miata, but it wasn't that because we couldn't afford that.
A Fiat?
No, I can't remember what it was. It was like, I don't know. I called it Red Gravy because it was red. But I hit a skunk, and it was at the top of a hill, and the dead skunk got caught under the car, and I like scraped it on the top of the hill under the car because it was like one of those low cars.
Awesome.
Oh,
God, it's my skunk. I mean, a skunk smells very different when you get sprayed by a skunk. It's like ammonia.
I like the smell of skunks, like in the air.
Well, yeah, it's me too, but not when you get sprayed. I got sprayed by a skunk a couple of years ago. Sophie, my previous dog, the little Jack Russell, got out of the house and went after the skunk, and the skunk was like having none of it. And I kind of stooped down to grab the dog from out from under the car, and when I went down, the skunk sprayed my friend Cameron, who was there at the time, and myself and the dog.
Skunks are the like animal equivalent of squids.
That's true.
Imagine if we did that. Well, I guess sometimes you get scared and pee a little, but
all the time.
You do? But it doesn't like you don't like stink up somebody.
I live a scary life. I'm married to a pilot who likes to put me in like death-defying situations. It's like skydiving.
But you don't actively spray malodorous. Whoa, SAT word.
Well, there's been times in the morning where I pee. It's been pretty.
But you don't spray it on people as a mechanism of defense, do you? Because then we have to have a talk.
I may have peed on one or two people in my lifetime.
And now the world knows.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, yeah. Are there other animals that do this too besides skunks? How do you get on this topic?
I don't know.
Okay, so what is your topic this week?
I already told you my topic
hotels.
Is the hotels.
Oh
yeah.
My god. But don't you love a good hotel lobby?
Thanks for listening.
Don't you love a good hotel lobby?
I love the
people
nice
watching.
I like people arriving for their vacations. My favorite hotel lobby was in New Orleans. It's the best smelling hotel lobby I've ever been in. The International Hotel, I think it was called.
In New
it
Orleans?
smelled so good. I
really?
was obsessed with finding where the smell was.
They probably had ones with like little boxes in the wall that kind of pumps the stuff out.
Yeah, they did, and I made the lady like get the scent and everything.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it smelled really good. But yeah, I do like the hotel lobbies. When the hotels that work paid for it, like those are like the chain ones.
Well, I mean, so. Okay, so I did not stay here, but we definitely went for tea in Dubai at the Burj Al Arab. It's that sailboat-looking hotel out on the little round island, right off the coast of the Palm Islands, and that lobby is spectacular. I mean, it is amazing. They have a water fountain display that is like unbelievable. It's just the coloring. It's like much like the Luxor, it's the lobby. You can see all the way up to the top floors. It's really pretty, and it looks like if you look up, it looks like you are in a sail, and it's really well done and
How
it's
many
stunning.
People have committed suicide there?
Probably a lot.
I forgot this. I also read about the Las Vegas suicide thing. When they find a body in the hotel rooms, they take it out of the hotel rooms and they leave it in like another area like outside the hotel. This
Like a dumpster?
I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Like a slop
but
parlor?
Apparently, if there is any kind of death in a hotel room, it's a 2-week moratorium on the room.
Where fumigation?
No, where they can like investigate it to make sure it wasn't a murder.
Like CSI?
Yeah. But that's like revenue lost for them.
Yes.
So they just move the dead bodies out. Ugh.
That's insane.
I don't know if it's true, but I read it,
illegal.
So it's true.
If there's a law that says you have to wait 2 weeks, to
It's like they say nobody's ever died in Disney World, that they like refuse to pronounce them dead. They like pronounce them dead as soon as they leave the property.
Well, it's like a cruise ship. People die all the time on cruise ships.
Oh, if you get a free ice cream social on the cruise ship, it means they had to make room in the freezer. Someone told me that once, and then they were like, "No, they have morgues on cruise ships."
They have morgues on a cruise ship.
I don't think they do. Why would you make space for a morgue if it could be for?
Think about who goes on cruise ships.
Yeah, but free ice cream.
Well, I mean, I would imagine people probably die more often by fleeing themselves off the side of this cruise ship than actually.
Okay, now we're gonna have to do a cruise ship episode.
You know the house next to mine, right?
Oh wait,
empty.
I just had an
idea. She died on a cruise ship.
She did?
Yeah, her name is Joyce or Joan or.
That house
Louise
is haunted. You always say like, oh, the dead lady's house,
yeah,
and I'm like, I don't like that.
It's very quiet over there. It's empty. I mean, she died on a cruise ship. So
hopefully her ghost is still there. Sorry, wherever you are, lady.
We're going on a cruise this year as well.
Yeah, so after that,
August.
We're doing an episode about our cruise. We have to.
Yeah. If we can get through the cruise without Pete getting like an intestinal infection, because every cruise you've been on, he's been in the infirmary. And that classic story where he was in the infirmary for like over 2 days. I didn't even know he was missing.
Well, I think for our 5th episode, we should do a very special one about our trip to Cuba.
Coming up in 2 weeks, right?
Yes, yeah. Which I am actually terrified.
You are?
I'm really scared to go. I'm really excited to go, but
I'm scared of being tortured.
So I'm scared that my cell phone doesn't work, and I have
to. It's not going to work.
I know, and I have to use cash.
You have to use cash.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for reinforcing my fears. But like when you get in trouble in a place, those are the 2 ways you can get out, right? Like your cell phone, or you just pay somebody.
I'm gonna say you shouldn't have any anxiety about Cuba. It's gonna be a wonderful trip.
If episode 5 doesn't air, call the authorities. Just tell them to look for 2 super anxious gay dudes.
Before I forget, for those who are listening and want to chime in, offer feedback, you can always get a hold of us via email at terrifyinglybeautiful@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and maybe give you a shout out at one of the future episodes too.
Yes, we will. We're going to do some mini episodes where we read your stories about your fears, and
we can't be the only ones who have these like illogical.
If we are, then what's the point of this? It's just like self-therapy. So that's terrifyingly beautiful.
You gonna spell that?
No. I mean, just you'll figure it out.
Yeah, terrifyingly beautiful at gmail.com.
Yeah.
So, other things I love about hotels.
We're running late here.
You can get. Well, I guess it really depends on where you want to stay, right? So Pete and I go to Fort Lauderdale almost every year. We stay at the Fort Lauderdale Hilton Resort on the.
Is this the nice part of our podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got stunning views of the ocean and the pool area, and it's so relaxing, and I love it. I've never had any problem there at all. It's a beautiful hotel, a ton of fun.
This episode brought to you by Hilton.
We should actually do some shout outs, right? So.
I've never actually had a bad experience except for similar to you where someone tried to get in my room. But I don't know. It's all in my head. I do feel like that podcast helps. I also, little tip, they very rarely have chamomile tea or sleepy time tea in the hotels. It's all like Bigelow or Earl Grey or whatever that is. So I travel with a little baggie of sleepy time tea that I make in that probably German-fested coffee.
But it always comes out tasting like coffee because it's always usually coffee they put in there, not tea, right? So
yeah, well, I run like 2 or 3
of course
blank
you do.
ones.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All the have you tried? I sleep with a fan on. Even when it's freezing cold, I have to have a fan on. I can't sleep without a fan on. If it's completely quiet, I'm wide awake.
Oh.
And so, but there's an app you can get on your phone, like white noise, and it just
Yeah,
puts
I
you
used to
sleep.
use that, but now I like that podcast a whole lot. I'm telling you, it's great.
It's called Sleep With Me.
Sleep With Me podcast.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Big fan.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to future episodes. I have a ton more topics that we want to talk about.
I will literally never run
It could
out
be a
of
20-year
topics.
podcast, by the way. All the things that we're
For
anxious
sure.
about.
There was 20 years worth of things that happened this past week to me that I
That's
could
right.
talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
But we also want it to be interactive. And if there's something you'd like us to talk about that if you think we've been afraid of it, I guarantee you're correct.
Yeah, and to Kevin's point earlier, I mean, one of the things that I appreciate about Kevin, and I think he does about me, is that we do have a pretty good sense of humor about the things that make us anxious, right? And it has never stopped us. I mean, you went on that biplane ride to the aerobatics.
I did, and
you liked it.
I really did. Yes, and David has promised to get me to skydive, which I fervently deny that will ever happen. But
I'm not going to go with you again. I went
Yeah.
once and done. I survived. I kissed the ground. I was so
Again,
excited to be alive.
the whole point of this is life is beautiful. Life is fun.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It is.
also scary as hell.
Hell. And what's your slogan?
Life is crazy.
You don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
I love it.
So
I love it.
thanks for joining us on
Yeah.
Terrifyingly Beautiful.
We'll see you again soon.
Go out and live life. Peace.